And please be mindful when the sharing time starts that you limit your time so that everybody has a chance to speak, unless you have a burden on your heart that you would like to talk about. Kim, is there any announcements?
They got a new, yeah, there's a, you got one?
Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, there's this new meeting, the breaking the change meeting, it's at the Ark. It's went pretty well the past couple nights. Saturday nights. So, you know, the first night there was like a praise and worship thing. Last time we had a meeting about like this.
Nice.
And it was really good. There's also a new meeting at Section Holiness. Wednesday nights. There's somewhere to go every night. We got a meeting schedule running around here somewhere that you can look at. It needs to be updated. But there's a meeting schedule. There's somewhere to go every night. So if you at the house or if you're on the street, find you somewhere to go. That's a real good idea. Huh? And there's usually food there. And there's something else. I can't remember what it
We're
is.
still gonna plan a cleanup day.
Is it cleanup day?
After the breakfast the day that I asked you about,
Yes,
April the 19th,
16th,
19th, something like that.
16th.
Whatever the third Saturday is, we're gonna have our community breakfast, and then we're gonna try to go out there and clean up some.
And today, somebody's birthday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday was Missy's birthday. And happy birthday.
Thank you. What?
All right, we have a basket that we're going to pass around. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have one more announcement. Great Expectations is putting on their annual covering of the Sin play, open to the public.
On Easter.
The 13th.
Isn't it?
The 13th.
20th.
We're doing it on Easter as well. But
that's next week?
family.
yes, next 6 p.m.
Oh,
6 p.m. April 6th, yes. No.
April the 13th.
have y'all been practicing this and all that stuff?
For like 6
Also, I want to announce I'm giving my testimony April the 11th at Jesus Can down there by
Hey, they have a meeting every Friday night now.
Friday.
Too. Good. Another thing that they've been announced. Every Friday night. Right there in the middle of Scottsboro.
6 o'clock.
June 13th there.
Hey, and I'm going to say something else. Y'all invite people to these meetings because everybody else, they're like, I don't want to get in their meetings. Well, you know, I get that. But, like, encourage people. They think that, I don't know what they think. But, I mean, usually everybody that comes to one of these meetings, they're glad they did when they leave. So, encourage people to come.
All right, the basket that's being passed around is for your card or for donations.
Twila needs coat tabs.
All the coat tabs you got.
Yeah, Twila has a bag, and don't throw your Coke cans away without taking the tab off and giving it to Twila.
Make me a card. Thank you.
All right, do we have any prayer requests? Does anybody have a prayer request?
I have an unspoken.
Okay,
Oh, no, you got to say that loud
go ahead. Go ahead,
Our children.
Tanya.
Everybody pray for my son Jacob in his job interview tomorrow. Let's just pray it's what he really thinks, that's what he wants. And it's going to be rougher than he thinks. But, oh, but that's all he wants. I just want a job. I just want a job. Well,
You got him one.
well, he's got an interview tomorrow. So, yeah, I know, but just pray for his feet, his mind.
Bless him, Lord.
And that, because yeah.
Stacy, you got a prayer request? Grace is waiting. She's supposed to be called by tomorrow about a bank job herself. And,
Get them by the cracker barrel.
Y'all remember my daughter Rachel, and I have a praise report. You know, for several months now, I've been asking for prayers for the situation with Octavia, and we get to go pick her up Thursday. Anybody else?
My family and my mom especially.
I got a praise report. March 3rd, it was 2 years I ain't got to see my son, and I finally got to see him March 3rd this past month.
Amen.
There's a lady down at work, that I work with, who's having a problem, somebody stopped her, and I thought y'all would lift it up, prayer,
Okay,
her situation she's in.
all right, Wally.
Me and my job.
Okay,
Because I might be, anyway, it's a good thing. And my kids,
okay.
and my friend Jamie Stewart.
My supervisor at work, his wife is, she's waiting on a kidney transplant. She's going through a bunch of health problems right now, so, just remember her. Her name's, I think I forgot her name. Lindsay.
Okay.
Bless her.
Anybody else? Donnie?
Yeah, a guy I work with named Larry, his wife found out recently she's got some kind of cancer, and they've already got her into chemo, and I think she's had a few rounds. Just pray that God, she won't even need the chemo, that God will take it away, but
Yeah. Amen.
that would be His will. So.
Just prayers for me that, the Lord leads me and, helps me, with my thing tonight and everything.
Yeah.
Helps me help somebody, I can say something to help somebody else.
You got it, McDonald.
Yeah.
Just us.
Anybody else?
No pressure.
Keep me in your prayers. I'm kind of going through a rough season. Kids keep getting sick, and my job, most jobs have a point system. I'm right there on the line, and kind of hard for a single mom trying to be able to work and have babysitters. So just keep me in your prayers. That if this job doesn't work out, I find another one.
Okay. Anybody else? Nick?
I need some money. I need marriage. But I need some stuff to happen to me. I'm not just being funny. I need to get some money to fix my truck. I need things to go without any more problems. Can you ask for that?
Yeah.
All right.
I got a custody hearing coming up in about a week and a half with my youngest daughter, so the Lord's hand will be on that.
Anybody else?
Marlene?
Yes, continue to remember Rodney. He's doing really good. Praise the Lord. I don't know why he's letting him do so good and other people are passing, but there's a reason. He needs to be saved. I think that's the whole point.
I'd like to, I got a prayer request too. I'd like for everyone to remember my grandson Jaden.
Yeah.
And, I know the Lord can heal him.
Bless him, Lord.
I know He can. And, it's not a doubt in my mind that I know He can. It's just if it's in His will. And, I would like to ask prayer. It's a special prayer for me.
Yes.
I'm having a hard time right now. I've been through a lot of emotional things in the last couple of months, a lot of deaths and a lot of sickness. And to top it all off, my oldest daughter chooses to not respect me and my husband, and just put us in a bad situation. And I'd just like for y'all to pray for that situation.
I got one of them. I just need to.
Yeah.
Have a praise report. I've not hit anybody. He meant lately.
Yeah.
It still counts.
Like today.
I pray things smooth out for you. I know how it is.
Yeah.
We've got a few that's not been here in a few weeks too.
Sometimes people make me
Let's just pray for them.
Yeah, let's call them by name. It's Clint, Roger, who else? Dana. Yeah, there's some more, but let's remember them.
Jessica, ain't seen Jessica.
Jessica,
Weeks.
yeah.
And Pam's not here tonight. course, I didn't come last time because nobody got.
All right, now I'd like to ask Grace to come up here with me. All right, we're gonna hand out bracelets, and what we do is we hand out bracelets for however long you've been clean, or however long you've been doing what you're doing, whatever you've stopped doing or started doing, and you been doing for a period of time, you know. And we like to praise all of that.
Yes, anything you lay down.
Yes, anything you've laid down or picked up that you needed to, you know, that you've been doing.
You know, I don't know about y'all, but it's just a little piece of rubber we wear on our wrist, but it kind of means something when I see it every day.
Yeah.
It's pretty important.
We got the same jewelry store.
What you got, Nick?
I was just wondering, like, what bracelet y'all were on.
All right, the white bracelet is a surrender bracelet, and it's any newcomer up to 29 days. Anything that you've been doing for up to 29 days that you're proud of yourself, that you've been
Praise the
doing
Lord.
continuously.
A resentment?
Anybody?
Anything.
Anything.
Cigarette?
Anything you've given up, or anybody?
Yeah, we don't bring them to you. You gotta go get it.
Yay!
Alright, yellow is for 30 days. Anybody got 30 days of anything?
That's in a row. You got
30 days in a row.
You gotta be in a row.
Get a yellow bracelet. Get a yellow bracelet.
Okay.
I want to have two.
Oh, okay. It won't fit by my house.
Okay, now we have red for 60 days. Anybody got 60 days? Nobody?
Oh, I heard the chairman.
All right, we have gray for 90 days.
Praise the Lord.
Roll time.
Oh, that's mine.
All right, then we have purple for 6 months.
The Lord had us all in the same deal. We got me, all three of us. Yeah.
Okay, now we have orange for 9 months.
Working on it.
9 months. Keep working.
End of this I got 10, guys.
Well, come up to Victor, you gotta give a speech, though.
Testimony.
What do you guys want to talk about?
All right, now we have black for 1 year. Anybody have 1 year clean or laid down something for 1 year?
Y'all keep working.
Anything? Okay, we have lime green for 18 months.
Working on it.
6
Yeah,
days.
get working,
Good. Then we have black and,
Yeah.
what's that?
Gold.
Black and gold for 2 years.
This
I didn't bring my
month?
glasses.
This month.
All right.
Yeah.
We're not fronting you, not even being
I
clear.
ain't got it yet.
Does anybody have more than 2 years? We have multiple years
I'm working
for
on it.
Definitely gotta give a speech on it.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great double.
Okay, now what? I picked something to do.
Was it that? Yeah. Would you have to go get a charger for your ankle bracelet?
No, my dog should have up last night. All right, y'all, now we're gonna pray over all the prayer requests we had. So, I'm gonna ask my husband Wes to pray.
Praise the Lord.
Lord God, we love you. We thank you for all that you do. And we thank you for being such a wonderful God to us, Lord God. Thank you for letting us be able to come to you in prayer and ask for the things that we need and desires of our hearts and the needs of our lives. And thank you for that, Lord God.
Yes, Lord.
Thank you for bringing us all together here this evening. And Lord, we appreciate you. Ask you to touch each and every one here and their families, Lord God. And ask especially that you touch all the prayer requests that you've heard. Even the ones that people were thinking about and they didn't speak, Lord God. You know their hearts. You know all of our hearts. We ask you just to minister to us in these prayer requests. In Jesus' name we pray and we love you. Amen.
Okay, now I would like to ask Sam to come up. He's going to introduce our speaker tonight.
Okay. Well, I met this fella in the Jackson County Jail,
Praise the Lord.
and I guess you could call it one of them mission trips. Because when I got there, I started doing Bible studies, and at first he wasn't about it too much. You know, he slept a lot. He just been sleeping for about a year, almost a year at that point. And well, he started catching on. He started waking up doing the Bible studies with us, and he's come a really long way, and I'm really proud of him. It's my best friend, Patrick. Get up here.
That was all in your testimony.
Okay, hey, I'm Patrick, or PK.
Hey,
A lot of y'all know me as PK. So I used to be a drug addict, and now I'm clean and I'm sober. Thank y'all. Woo! I'm just kidding. April Fools. I'm just kidding.
Praise the Lord. Was that your notes?
No, I've been. Yeah, I've been
All
playing.
right, you fluffed us up. Let's go.
All right. I'm gonna dive straight off into my childhood here. It's a testimony, but it's a story of what God did. Because to tell my story is to tell the miracles that God has worked in my life.
Yes.
Well, to start, I'm sure my parents loved me, but they were very young. Not to mention I was unplanned and born addicted. I was a crack baby, if you will. My mom dropped out in the 11th grade to have me, and my dad was as well 2 weeks before he graduated. My dad did the right thing and married my mom, and then 16 months after I was born, my sister was born. I remember being very little, maybe 4 or 5 years old, catching my mom cheating on my dad with his boss. I don't have many memories from that age, but I do remember everything changing for my sister and I. My mom took us to live in a trailer in Odenville while keeping us in the school I had already started at Moody. I had a semi-happy and normal childhood. At least that's what I thought I did until later growing up and realizing nothing about my childhood was normal. I remember my mom having guys in and out of our lives until one man that came around brought me and my mom and my sister to what I now identify as a trap house. I remember my mom and her friend arguing about how they were going to afford the drugs they were getting. And that's when a brash decision would be made. Me and my sister would suffice for whatever the cost was. We were left there, and just like that, traded for drugs.
Sorry, PK.
It wasn't long until I got sick with the flu, and someone dropped me back off at home by myself at the age of 8, alone and hungry, with the flu, and away from my sister, who I had never been apart for more than a couple of days. I remember the neighbor by the grace of God after being there for at least a week, if not more. I don't know what possessed them to come knock on the door. It had to be God. There's no other explanation, really. Took me home with them. They gave me medicine to get me better until one day my dad knocked on the door, getting me to come home. He had my mom and my sister with him. I found out later in my life that my dad caught word of what had happened, busted down the door to the place and beat the crap out of everyone there and drove my mom and sister out of there. he brought them home, and that day, and I'll never forget how happy I was to see my best friend, my little baby sister. Little did I know, life as I knew it was about to change again. It wasn't long before DHR showed up to our door. I had a lot of questions for me and my sister. This was the day I found myself with trust issues with not just people, but the system.
Yeah.
I remember. Sorry.
You gotta be calm, come on.
I remember me and my sister making the two new super nice ladies promise us they wouldn't take us away from our mom. They pinky promised both of us that we had nothing to worry about. Little did we know, soon to find out, they lied to us. The next day, one of the meanest ladies I'd ever met in my life showed up and told me and my sister we had 2 hours to get everything we needed, that we were going to live with my grandma, my great grandmother. Now that I'm older, I know that was God stepping in and saving our lives. But at the time, we were devastated. My grandmother got us into church, and it wasn't long before I found Jesus and begged her to let me get baptized, which eventually, when I was about 10, I did. I was happy, but something deep inside of me was bitter and was angry. And it was slowly forming within me until one day it would come to surface. Not yet, though, at least. Not now, anyways. We stayed there for a couple of years until the summer before my 6th grade year. Life was about to change again. We left my great grandma's to go to my grandmother's house, my dad's mom, to live with her and my grandpa. He wasn't my biological, but he still took us in, which now that I'm older, I'll forever be grateful, but at the time I was definitely against it. I had to start middle school at a brand new school, McAdory. To explain the difference between the schools that I was at, I went from like a school of about 300, all white, and there was, middle of the country, to all of a sudden I just got dumped into a school with about 4,000 kids, and most of them were black. And life changed drastically. I got picked on a lot when I first got there, and a lot. And it changed. Definitely, life was way different. I was not happy at first, but I remember I go home crying many days. But thankfully, some kids down the street from us invited us to go to church with them. Their dad was a pastor there. My sister and I started going all the time. At this point, we were used to being in church anyways. Plus, they made us feel right at home. There, being in the youth group there was awesome. But as I was adjusting to my new school and dealing with constant bullying, they grew my anger every day. I started becoming more defiant as the days went on. By 7th grade, I started fighting back. It usually resulted in butt whoopings. The one I got in a fight with, and then the one I got by my grandpa. He was retired military, so he was a little harsh when it came to punishment. I was, like I said, getting more defiant, so I started back talking, which resulted in a backhand to the face. I started getting into sports, football, soccer, and wrestling, anything to get me away from home. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I was going to innocent birthday parties and found myself smoking cigarettes and weed by the time I was 13. I started getting more into fighting and found myself somewhat of a reputation for it. It wasn't long before I found myself hanging out with much older kids. I always seemed to fit in with the older crowds anyways. I shortly after, by the age of 14, was now gang affiliated. Obviously, resulting in me withdrawing from church a little at a time. I'm not going to go into details about that time in my life, but needless to say, it wasn't good. My grandfather, he was retired military and all, but he worked for the government, and he was contracted by the Department of Defense, and he would leave 6 to 9 months at a time to go to Afghanistan or Iraq as a civilian contractor. And he was really strict on me, really stern. He had very, very strict rules. But when he was gone, it was wide open. For the next 6 to 9 months till he came back. And it gave me time to get a little bit more out of control every time. By the time I was 15, I had enough of the rules and constant free labor my grandfather would get out of me. one day I had enough of getting butt whoopings and getting smacked in the face in front of my friends. So I decided to go stay at my dad's and found myself becoming a full-time babysitter for him and his girlfriend. So even though they weren't married, I called my stepmom. They would stay gone for days at a time while I watched their kids. Life was soon again about to change for me, but this time drastically. I remember going to sleep and waking up from a horrible dream, a nightmare. Actually, before that happened, I was at McAdory. Well, when I moved to my dad's, I transferred schools again. I was only there for a few weeks, and I got in a fight, got suspended. Well, I didn't realize it was the same county, so all my infractions from the previous school, all the fighting, cigarettes and stuff, I had one strike left, and I was going to boot camp. My dad and them, they weren't having it, and me and my stepmom were fighting all the time. Like, we were getting into arguments like crazy, and so my dad sent me to his dad's, and only made it a few weeks, and they found out I was going to boot camp, and he was like, "Nah, you got to go back to your dad's." So all my bags were packed. Everything I had that I owned pretty much with me was packed up in bags already. And the night I got back to my dad's, I had a horrible dream, a nightmare. I dreamt I'd one day become just like my dad and be a good-for-nothing drug addict, in and out of jail, all my life, can't hold down a job. I love my dad, but he wasn't the best. He gave up his rights when I was a little bitty, so he would have to pay child support, and which bit him in the butt. He still had to pay it anyways. But he was never. Anytime I get Christmas presents or birthday presents, he'd come around just to steal it, and do whatever. I'm not gonna get into a whole deep. I love my dad, like I said. But he wasn't the best dad, or role model or figure for me. So I woke up in the middle of the night. I was in cold sweats. Still had all my bags packed for moving back into my dad's. I remember writing a letter to my dad saying I was headed out west to my cousins in California. But that was only to throw him off. I grabbed as much as I could as much as I was physically able to carry, and headed for the nearest truck stop. It took me a while, but I finally hitched a ride out of Birmingham. Got dropped off in Atlanta. Everything seemed fine until night fell. Being in the middle of the winter, it got cold. And that's also when I realized that I was the only white person around for miles. And on top of that, the truck stop I was at told me to hit the road. It wasn't long before I started getting approached by different people, and all of a sudden, one of them popped up asking if I was a cop. When I told him I wasn't, him and his buddy jumped me, stealing some of my stuff. They beat the crap out of me too. I wasn't even mad though. I now came to the realization that I wasn't safe though. A nearby crackhead had happened to see what had happened, and that's when he gave me the rundown of Boulder Crest Road, which is outside of Atlanta. He pleaded for me to come with him and that he would keep me safe. And against my better judgment, I followed him to an abandoned apartment. That's when I found myself smoking, for the sake of there's being kids and stuff, doing, bad stuff, yeah.
Bad stuff.
For the first time. Okay. I had never really done real drugs before, but now I know how silly that mentality of real drug was. I really didn't know any better at the time. It wasn't long before he convinced me to trade off a bunch of my stuff and more of it. To speed up the story, I found myself getting robbed 2 more times before I found my way downtown to Traveler's Aid and made it to Raleigh, North Carolina. I met a girl on a video chat website when I was probably 13 and 14, and we were pen pals, and I was like, where could I go? And her parents told me, they were like, they knew the situation, and they were like, just come out here. If you make your way to Raleigh, we'll you come see us or something like that. And so I made my way to Raleigh, and Raleigh was just as rough as Birmingham. That place is just as bad, and I knew from where I'm from, everybody wears blue or black. They're the gangs and stuff. It's all Crips or Gangster Disciple. There's no Bloods and stuff where I was from. Well, out there where I was at, everybody's wearing red, and so I'd already got myself wearing blue and stuff, so I could kind of fit in, and that instantly caused problems.
First day.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for listening, Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny you say that because it's funny. I did go to Walmart, but it wasn't good though. Well, I'm gonna speed up the story a little bit. You don't need to hear all this stuff, but I ended up traveling around from Raleigh. I made it out to Johnson City, Tennessee. I made it out somewhere in Mississippi. Made it back to Atlanta somehow, only for a couple hours. I made it to Virginia for a little while, South Carolina. Just bouncing place to place, wherever I could hitch a ride to. And I just thumb it, and God, huh?
You was how old again?
15, 16.
Wow. Were you staring down the road, pray to God you see him? That's an old girl.
Yeah, I used to make that joke a lot. There was a lot of the places that he talked about, but I probably visited 30, 40 different cities while I was out on the road and stuff.
Okay, how old are you now? I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'm 29. Yeah. One day though, I make my way back to Raleigh. I did end up meeting that girl, by the way. I got to see her for like an hour or two. It was cool. But anyways, it was cool. It was cool.
It lasted so long.
I mean, we were supervised by our parents. It wasn't like that. But anyways, I ended up getting arrested. I had to call the cops. I called the cops on myself like an idiot because these people that I was staying with, they were all tripping and they were talking about calling the cops. So my idea was, let me call the cops first. They'll hear me out first. Well, I called them and I have all my bags and I hit the bus stop right across the street. I'm waiting on the bus and all of a sudden the police show up to their house. They immediately pointed across the street at me and the police were like, as soon as the bus got there, they were like, come here. And I had to talk to them. Well, my dumb self has my ID on me, my little learner's permit. And they searched, they seen I was a ward of the state from Alabama. I was a runaway. And they took me to jail. Well, I was there at the Wake County Detention Center for Youth in Raleigh for 3 weeks. I tried to break my own hand to get out of there. I figured if I could go to the hospital, I could just run away. It didn't work like that. They brought the X-ray machine down there to me. And I didn't even break it. It was just messed up real bad. But I went to court for after 3 weeks of being there, and my lawyer, everything I'd ever heard growing up, all lawyers are they're no good. They're the judge. They're with the judges. This, that, and other. And so I was mean to her. I was an a-hole, and I always had respect for adults, especially people in some kind of power. But at this point in my life, I had this mentality. She wasn't trying to help me. This lady was there to hurt me, and that was her whole goal. And so I was an a-hole to her. I was mean. I was completely disrespectful. And about 30 minutes into it, she said, "Listen." She was like, "Do you want my help or not? I'm trying to help you." And she was like, "But if you're gonna act like that, I'll just go ahead and tell him to go and send you down the road." And it hit me. It was like the Lord kind of gave me some kind of present or feeling that, hey, this lady's just trying to help you. I said, "Okay, what do you need me to do?" And I straightened myself up and started crying. She was like, "Explain to me everything that's happened, where you're at right now, how you got here." And I gave her the rundown, and I didn't even see the judge. I just went back to jail. A week later, I go back to court. We weren't there 10 minutes. The judge was telling me, he's like, "Well, you're gonna have to go back to Alabama, but you're gonna go to a group home. You're not gonna go back to your family," and which that wasn't a big deal, but I was gonna have to go to a group home. I'm turning 18 in just a few months. I'm about to turn 18. So I'm like, why do I have to go to a group home? Well, in Alabama, you're not an adult till you're 19. So. And so that was their look. Is I gotta go to a group home. And my lawyer gets up in front of the judge, in front of everybody. She says, "He can come stay with me." I'm talking about. I didn't know this lady for more than an hour. And my jaw drops. The judge's jaw drops. Everybody in the courtroom's jaw drops. And the judge is like, "Miss Mary, I've known you for years. I've never heard you say anything crazy like that before." He was like, "Are you sure about that?" And she was like, "Yeah, we'll get him into a teen shelter for a couple weeks until we can figure it all out. And come stay with me." So a couple weeks goes by, and by the way, my grandma, she knew where I was at most of the time. Like I would call her when I got a chance. I wouldn't tell her where I was at, but I would give her kind of brief, and she understood. But I kind of kept her up to date. But other than that, I mean, everybody else, they didn't know where I was at or what was going on. My lawyer got me into that little shelter for teens. Lasted a couple weeks, and then I think I faked some kind of like a seizure or something. I did something stupid to get out of there. I crashed out. I couldn't help it. I'm certified. I'm a certified crash out. I really am. Not anymore. Praise the Lord. Not anymore. You're right. It was. Yeah, and I did what I could to crash out. Well, she gets notified. Anyways, and she calls my grandparents. She gets them to sign some kind of guarantor guardianship thing or whatever, and let me come with, like, to be her to have guardianship of me. That life, for some reason, got really good for a minute there, and she started taking me out to vacation with her family and stuff like that. I was her son, his girlfriend, and their 6-month-old baby. She didn't know me from Adam, but she treated me like family, and it was all that was. I mean, she was a true angel. She really was. I seen an ad on Facebook one day about Job Corps, so she got me into Job Corps. She helped me get into it, but the government was shut down in 2013, so they weren't accepting new people. They were only accepting runaways and homeless teenagers, which I just so happened to be both of them. So they got me in like 3 weeks. I went for auto mechanics, did that. Well, a week before I was supposed to graduate, I crashed out. I got in a fight. I broke a bunch of stuff in one of the rooms, and they gave me two options. They said we can either take you to jail for assault on a government employee and destruction of government property, because as through the job through a government employee. They said either that or you can go home. Maybe you can come back in 2 years. Well, I didn't really have a home at this point. It was Miss Mary. She was mad. She was like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe you did that. You had a week left. And she was like, you're not coming back here. I just want you to know that. And my mom had been in touch with me. I had seen my mom twice since I was 8 years old after the DHR took us away. She'd been messaging me trying to get me to come live with her. I told her, I said, the only way I'll come live with you is if you clean up. You gotta be sober. I was like, I don't want to do that again to myself. So she told me she was sober, and when I was on my way back, she picked me up at the ground station in Birmingham. And she was only 2 weeks sober, but I didn't know that at the time, but it was okay. And here I am, 17, moved in with her for a little bit, her and my stepdad. Where am I at? I don't even think I've been following this thing at all. Yeah. Oh well. Anyways, my mom had she was doing good, I guess. Well, I found out she was pregnant while I was there. I didn't have no idea. She was like, "Will you help me lift this? I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Huh?" I'm 17 years old. I'm thinking, I really no way my mom's pregnant. That just didn't make sense to me. Like, I was like, my mom's already had a whole bunch of kids too. She's already had like I love my mom. She's already had a bunch of them. And
Another one?
And I love my mom. I really do. I do. But
She just had
I get in touch with some of my old friends from high school and I went down to Shelby County to live for a little bit, and I started doing construction, and I was doing a little electrical work. Met a girl for a little bit, and I told my mom I'd be back eventually, but I didn't come back. Well, it didn't work out where I was at, so I went to move back in with her and my stepdad and my 6-month-old sister. I was there for about 3 weeks, and then she just disappeared. I had just turned 18. And she was gone. I didn't know where she was at. After about a month of sitting there waiting on her to come back, I realized she wasn't coming back. She did it again. She'd been doing that my whole life. So I was like, why would, I thought maybe it was different this time. Maybe she really did it and gotten right. But she did the same thing because my whole life, she'd pop up for a little bit, then she'd just disappear. She'd be, oh, let's go meet up. I'm going to go take y'all out to eat or whatever. My grandmother would take us, and she wouldn't show up. That was an ongoing thing my whole life. And so it just sucked. It kind of sucked. It hurt. And I left my stepdad, my little sister. I couldn't be there. I couldn't just sit there and wait on her. And I already got a vehicle and a license at this time, so I just took off. And long story short, I ended up loaded on the road. I started I started working on a chicken farm. I ended up getting in with some people, with my cousin. He knew a guy. We started working on a chicken farm. It wasn't long after that, I got introduced to the two things I said I would never, ever, ever, ever do. The stuff, y'all know, the stuff.
Chicken feed, you're doing great.
The high-speed chicken
High
feed.
speed chicken feed.
2 weeks later, the darker stuff,
Yeah.
the opposite. And
Yeah.
I said I would never, ever. I said I'd already dabbled with, the white stuff. And, I'm trying. And
Slow your roll there, big
yeah, with bad stuff, but I never did those two. Said I would never, ever, ever do them. And I did, within 2 weeks of each other, I did them both. I wasn't a fan of the stuff, the downer stuff, but just as quickly I learned that I loved the other though. Ooh. It quickly cost me everything. My girlfriend, my friends, my job. I realized I still needed money, so I started selling it. It wasn't long before my car broke down, and then my dog had puppies. I was devastated, living out of my car with my dog and her 8 puppies. We were at a truck stop kind of nearby home, so.
There it goes, truck stop.
Yeah, truck stops. Yeah. The car's still cranked up. The clutch just went out, so I still had AC and all that. It's the summertime. I just kind of would hustle out the parking lot a little bit, but that was my supply quickly ran out though within a few weeks, and I couldn't re-up because I couldn't go anywhere. Oh, I was working at Chuck E. Cheese too. I know it's wild. I was a manager at Chuck E. Cheese.
What you were rat.
Would you chuck
I would sometimes have to dress up as Chucky. I did.
Oh my God, dude.
I stopped after I accidentally punted one of the kids across the
Oh my God. I can see you doing it.
Yeah, it was an accident. It was. I didn't see him running up on me.
I didn't see him running up on me. Pow!
Anyways.
Are you gonna tell us about your name? KP, PK?
I'll get to it. I know you said something about that. I'll get to it.
It's BK.
It's not, I ain't got much more on that. Y'all just bear with me.
Yeah.
My buddy, him and his girlfriend agreed to let me come stay on their couch for a few days to get myself together. She agreed to watch my dog and her puppies. And my buddy, he used to work at the Hammond Homes, up on, by the college over there in Sand Mountain area. That I didn't know anything about Sand Mountain. Never heard of it. Well, anyway.
How about Powell, bro?
Powell, 5, whatever. I don't know what you want to call it.
Powell area 5.
I didn't know nothing about Northeast Alabama. Not a lick. I knew
Yeah, I've
nothing
heard
about
of
it.
this before. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now you're getting into our territory.
Yeah. Here I am.
Old man.
She told me she'd watch them, and I went to work at the Hammond Homes. Still struggling. Yeah. Still struggling with addiction. That's when I met the love of my life. She didn't do drugs. She had 2 children and a newborn baby. She liked me, but I didn't stand a chance as long as I was getting high. She made that clear. So I realized I wanted her more than life itself. I made the decision to stop using. We moved in together. I stepped up and decided I was ready to play stepdad. That's when I found another love, our little baby girl. Quickly became my whole world. Unfortunately, she wasn't faithful to me. No matter how good I tried to be to her, it was to no avail. I'd lay awake many nights crying for her to come back home to us. I started growing cold and heartbroken, and I left. I did what any addict without Christ would do. I went back to my old ways. I got back into selling and eventually got busted and was put on color code. While I was in jail, she was there for me, and the day I got out, she was there for me. Quickly, our love was resparked. And at this time, that beautiful little girl was still my whole world, said one of her first words, Dada. I was now stuck like Chuck, and it wasn't long before the same old cycle started again, but this time I couldn't go anywhere. I had no car, I had no money. All I could do was try to love her and hope that it would be enough for her. She left eventually, took the baby. I ended up getting caught by the cop I lived with getting high again. I left. Me and her and her sister and we all lived with her sister's baby daddy and the cop or whatever. And I'll send her a long story, but yeah. After everybody was gone, I was still there, and I was now working at McDonald's as a manager over there in the center. He called me getting high, and that was, you can't really do that if you're living with a cop, you know. I mean, yeah. It was put to a screaming halt. Oh wait, what? Off the whole page here. I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Short. Ended up getting high again. I left, and to shorten it up, this cycle was repeated a few more times before I got in a wreck. Life as I knew it was put to a screaming halt. I was left in the hospital with a broken hip and almost lost my life. My roommate at the time, her and a few of my friends, we all went down to a party in Langston, and I stayed sober that night. It was New Year's Eve. I actually stayed sober. I didn't get high. I didn't get drunk. Well, I'm supposed to be the DD. Well, it's like 2, 3 in the morning. Everybody's gone. I'm like, where is everybody? I'm supposed to be driving them back. I had the keys, so I was like, screw it. I ended up driving home in that big tree at the bottom of Langston Gap. I don't know if anybody knows about it. It's pretty good. We used to be there, I guess. It's not there anymore. I hit it, and I was going pretty quick. I didn't really know my way around, so I didn't realize my turn was coming up, and there was a car headed my way. It was foggy out, and I ended up running off the road a little bit, but it was muddy. I slipped. I tried to pull back up. I slipped off the road and hit that tree, and it shot me up like this, and I went down. And that's the only thing that saved my life. But it broke my hip and messed me up, cracked my rib a little bit, and I was in the hospital, and all my friends and all these people, none of them came to see me. I was alone. You know, my roommate, she came up there to see me, but I was wilding out before that, and then after that happened, I couldn't walk anymore. I couldn't even get out of the bed. Now I'm on pills. I'm on pain pills. Now I'm doing the stuff again. Now I'm doing all kinds of things at this point. I'm drinking on top of that. It started getting bad. I started spiraling out of control, and I was supposed to be in bedridden for about 4 to 5 months. I was up in about 3 weeks walking around. I mean, I was on crutches, of course, but I was high, so you know, I was just doing anything I could to keep going and stuff, and I didn't realize how bad I was getting, and me and my roommate at the time, we were fighting like cats and dogs. I was ready to get out of there, and as soon as I was able to get out of there, I did. And I went back to my hometown where I went to school at. When I was at school, nobody did drugs. We might have smoked a little weed, drank a little. We didn't do drugs. If you did drugs, you were outcast. You were shunned, because we were all about sports and all kinds of other stuff in my school. And I went back to my hometown to visit some friends. Everybody's strung out. Every one of them. Well, and most of the people I went to school with were all dead at this point. I remember in high school, I went to a lot of funerals. You know, the drunk driving accidents, just fighting and stuff, all kinds of crazy stuff. But now I'll find out over half the people I went to school with are dead because of drug overdoses. And it was crazy. I was like, my mind was just blown. I was like, I thought I was like the only person in the world that really got high. Because I was always like a closet kind of person that got high. And I mean, I found Sand Mountain and realized like, oh, it's cool up here, you know. Not anymore, you know, but it was at the time when I found out, because I kind of came up here to get sober, and it wasn't a place for it.
Wrong choice.
Yeah, it was a bad place to do that. I didn't know the stigma. When I went back home and seen everybody else has been doing it, they've been doing it for a while, and I just kind of fell in. I was like, all right, well, a buddy of mine had a little trap house over there, and I kind of just crashed out over there for a few weeks. And the guy called my brother. He lived down in South Georgia. He was like, if you want to sober up, come down here and stay with us. It lasted about 2 months. Neighbor pops up from across the street on a bicycle and just pops up out the bushes with one of them anonymous mask on in the middle of the day. And I'm like, he's like, hey man, what you doing? I was like, just chilling. What's up? And he's like, slides his mask up. He's like, what's your name? And I was like, I told him. He was like, want to get high? Well, I did. And it didn't last 2-3 days, and he told on me. He told my brother. And he was like, well, your buddy's over there getting all spun out and stuff. And brother was livid. He kicked me out, and luckily I know online thing again, but I met a girl online. I stayed with her. Yeah.
What is your Zoom friends and stuff?
Yeah, I made it.
He's like that fucker, man.
Shoot, I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, y'all.
You're good. Keep going.
I stayed with her for a little bit, and addiction got worse because she was on stuff too. Well, she wasn't, but now she is. And
Good job.
it lasted for a while, and then I had court up here from when I got in that wreck. And when I found a ride all the way up here to Sand Mountain, went to court. Well, I went to go back down there, and I was gonna surprise her for coming back early, and she had a whole another dude up in there, and told me I was crazy for even coming back and get the heck out of there. So now I'm homeless in South Georgia by the beach, and it's hot. I didn't know anything about that area. And I'm just kind of hoofing it. And I found out a couple of my roommate that I told you I was trying to get away from so bad, and my brother and a couple of other friends, they were going to Colorado. I'd always wanted to go to Colorado. They were like, come on. And I found a way out there where they were at. And I told my ex-roommate that I was going to drive to Colorado. I slept the whole time. I slept the whole entire ride. I was tired. We got to a hotel out there for a few weeks, and slept the whole time. I didn't try to look for a job or nothing. I just slept. I was tired. Eventually, I met a guy at a bar. He was this old man. He was a hoarder, and he needed help around his house. And he let me move into his basement, and I was helping him out. I was sober. I was finally getting clean. I felt, and this time I wanted to. I really wanted to. I was like, there ain't no way. Nobody out here does that kind of stuff. Like that's what I was thinking, and it lasted for about 1.5 years. I stayed sober for a while. I would drink a little here and there because I worked at a bar. I was a cook there, and then, among other things, you do when you work at a bar, but it never like I used to. And it lasted for a few months, and then eventually I found a job at a call center, and I was working there for a while. It was the happiest I'd ever been, probably, in my whole entire life. The best people I could have ever worked with and been friends with. COVID happened. Shut it down. And I didn't lose my job, but the company I was working for transferred us to SiriusXM, which was awful. That was awful. They're a horrible company. If you got SiriusXM, just know those people are cutthroat, and they will sell your soul for nothing if they can. But anyways, it's not about them. It's about me. Working for SiriusXM, and I tried my best to get fired. I tried for months, and I'm working from home and stuff. And I met a girl. She's doing the stuff, and I hadn't been with anybody in a long time, other than that one girl that I was with in Georgia. And other than that, I hadn't been with anybody. And I get with her, and I kind of like, oh, we're doing drugs and stuff together. So, it wasn't a big deal. But then I realized, it was taking me down through there. All my friends were sober. None of my friends ever did drugs. They were all sober people. And they started noticing a decline. I wasn't hanging out with them anymore. I wasn't a part of their life anymore. And they wanted to know why. They knew why. Once I admitted it though, they were gone. hightailed it. And I was alone again. I ended up, now I've got my addictions all over again. I'm right back where I was, but worse. I ended up getting online on this platform called Zoom. I don't know if you know what it is. Apparently, there's a whole entire world of people that get high on there and on video chat with each other, so they don't have to be by themselves. That became my whole world. Became friends with them really quickly, and that became my everything. I was always on there all the time, night and day. And one of them invited me to come out to LA. So I flew out to LA for a few days. It was about to change drastically for me this time. I went to meet all my online friends that I used to get high with. Till it was time to leave, I didn't want to leave. I found myself now living on the streets of a huge city in a world of a place that I know nothing about. And soon I realized those buddies I had weren't going to help. That's when I got approached by a man asking if I wanted to make some money. It wasn't long before I found myself ripping off rich people and stealing their mail. I got into credit card stuff and check stuff. I'm not gonna go into detail because I'm not very proud of it. But it lasted a little while. Then I started getting into the car scene and I'm not gonna go into any of the details because I'm not trying to glorify any of the crimes I did because I'm not proud of them at all. But one thing about me, I'd always have morals. No matter how bad it got, I've always been one with morals. I never stole from people. I never ripped anybody off. I'd help anybody, no matter how bad off I was. Now I'm doing the exact thing that I never did, and my morals were gone. I didn't know where they went. I couldn't find them. I was like, it's not me, and I gotten so far away from God that I didn't even know who He was anymore. I didn't think He wanted to know me anymore, and I would hide from Him and hide from Him and hide from Him.
Bless him.
I went from LA to San Francisco, down to San Diego, Central California area, all the way up to Oregon, just hitching rides again. Here I am back to hitching rides up and down the state, like almost like a cycle had started up, you know. And I was alone. I really was. I had all these people around me, but California's kind of rough. I know it sounds all cool on TV, but it's not. They have a really bad drug problem out there and a really bad crime rate problem. Like it's not even funny. And it's no place to be trying to get help. And I'm struggling at this point, and I'm in and out of jail. Get caught for doing this, I'm back in jail. Get caught for doing that, I'm back in jail. I got warrants, now I'm getting pulled over, I'm back in jail, you know, and I'm running from the police all the time. Getting beat up by the police all the time. And which there you don't stay in jail for long. It's just a couple nights because they're so overcrowded. But I mean, it was a repeating cycle for a while. And eventually I found a way out. And I just had this feeling, go to Vegas. Why not? Go to Las Vegas. I've always wanted to see it. So I went for a few days. A few days turned into a couple of months. And I got addicted to slot machines bad out there, and getting high and doing slot machines. And I had lost myself. You couldn't even recognize me. I wasn't even human anymore, if you will. I was just a machine, a robot, just moving through the motions. And one day I got a phone call. I called my grandmother recently, and so my number was in her phone. And I rarely ever call my grandma like I should. I was always ashamed because I was always getting high or doing something bad. And, well, I'd finally gotten the courage to call her, and 2 weeks later, I tried to call her on Thanksgiving to tell her Happy Thanksgiving. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. Or I texted her, and at like 4 o'clock in the morning, my aunt calls, tells me. That my grandmother died. She was my whole world. She was my everything. She raised me, you know? And I was devastated. I cried and I cried and I cried. I started asking people for money to help me get out of there. And my grandfather hated me at this point, by the way. My step-grandfather, he already didn't like me growing up because I was my dad's son. And he hated my dad growing up. And I begged him to give me a ticket to get back home so I could go to her funeral. He told me I needed to deal with the seeds I've sown. I'm stuck out there. He wasn't paying for crap. Well, somebody talked him into it. He had a change of heart. He bought the ticket online. He wasn't going to send me any money. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. I probably would have never made it if he did. And I made it home for the funeral just in time. That 10 o'clock that night, the funeral was the next morning. And took a 3-day bus ride. It was crazy from LA all the way back to, because it was from Vegas, then to LA, then back to Atlanta, and then back to Birmingham. It was stupid. But I made it back. And after my grandmother's funeral, my great grandma, she's still alive. The one I lived with when I was in middle school, or in like 4th, 5th grade. And I went to go move in with her. She said I could come live with her. And I was like, man, I gotta sober up. I gotta do something different. I've been ducking and dodging my whole life getting high. I try to do that whole sober up thing, and I get back on Zoom with my buddies and stuff, and they're all getting high. So I'm like, dang, how could I do it? Well, one of my buddies I lived with out in California had just moved to Atlanta. We only live like an hour from Atlanta. Well, I used her car to go see them. Right back getting high again. It's stupid. I couldn't get away from it. And it's like no matter how far away I went, no matter where I went, what city I went to, it was always there. Everywhere you look, it's everywhere.
Anywhere you go, there you are.
Anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, I can get away, go to a new place, it's just there. It's like if you're looking for it, it's gonna be there. And I was always looking for it. Subconsciously, I was always looking for it. And well, while I'm out in Atlanta for a weekend, I mean, these people were paying me to like redo their house and bathroom and stuff. All I was doing was tearing it up. I was taking sledgehammer to stuff and hauling truckloads of garbage bags and stuff out of her house, or out of his house, and stuff, making it look like I've been doing stuff while I'm just there getting high the whole time. While I'm out there, I got a phone call that my grandmother was in the hospital. She had fallen and broken her hip while I was gone in her car. She couldn't get to her phone because she was too far from her. And that's when guilt started setting in. I was like, man, I got to make it back. And me and this dude had just had a falling out, so he wasn't going to take me back home. And all the money he paid me that weekend, I had to spend on getting back home. And anyways, my grandmother's in the hospital now. Now she's at a nursing home. I'm staying at her house still, but I have warrants from when I got in that car wreck. I had drugs in the car. State trooper found drugs, and they put warrants out. I forgot all about them. Now that I'm back in Alabama, those warrants didn't go away. They were from 2016. They didn't go nowhere. And
They never do.
no, I forgot about them. My grandmother had an expired tag, and I didn't know it. They pulled me over. They take me to jail. I got warrants out the wazoo. So I go from jail to jail to jail to jail over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Well, I finally get out. My Aunt Peggy, who owns my grandmother's house, told me I wasn't coming back there because they found like pipes in my room and all kinds of stuff. They were like, and I was supposedly been sober and been clean. I'm kicked to the curb. Now I get a ride down to Birmingham to where my dad's at, and try to move in with him, but it's a bad situation. And, anyways, we're back to doing the same old routine, and I'm on the streets of Birmingham, and I've never been really on the streets of Birmingham before. I walked downtown one time to catch a ride out of Birmingham with an 18-wheeler driver. I didn't realize how bad Birmingham really was, I guess, but it didn't really matter because I've been all these other places. So at that point, I mean, it was nothing to me. But I lasted a few months, and I tried to bring my California ways back home with me. And you can't do the same crap out here that you can out there. It don't work like that. It catches up to you every time. And it didn't take long, and I had warrants out for me, and I ended up falling asleep on a park bench. They woke me up, and I tried to run. They tased me and stuff, and I took me to jail. That was God right there, because best thing to ever ever happened to me my whole life.
Amen.
Best thing that ever happened to me. So I get in jail, and I ain't got any friends at this point that I had one friend that would call me, and he didn't put money on my books at times, so I cussed him out. Never heard from him again. So now I'm truly alone in Jefferson County Jail, and what they call the Thunderdome. They fight every day there, and which I used to love fighting, but at this point I'm done with it. I'm tired of fighting. You know, I've been fighting my whole life. I get in a few fights, and I mean I won all of them, of course. You know. But I got sitting the whole few times, and I mean nobody ever really wins a fight. Everybody's sore the next day, and it's just I mean you really ever win one, you know? But anyways, I'm in Jefferson County Jail, and I'm wanting to get high. That's all I wanted to do, but nobody was willing to hook me up because I didn't have no money. I didn't have no way to get nothing, so I sat there wishing and wishing and wanting and wishing and wanting until one day I prayed. I said, Lord, please get me out of here. This place is awful. It's horrible. I'd never been in jail in Alabama. Only in jail. I mean, I've been in a couple of jails in Alabama, but I kept to myself, and it wasn't like Jefferson County's jail. It's rough out there. I sat in there and I sat in there and I sat in there, and my lawyer was like, just appeal this stuff and go take it to grand jury, and you're gonna be in here for a few years. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in here in a few years. And he was like, all right, well, we're gonna try something. And I forgot what all it happened, but he took it to the judge, and the judge seen me after 7 months of being there. And he's like, man, you got a lot of money you're gonna owe out, and this, that, and other. You got all these charges. He's like, I'm gonna go ahead and OR you, so you can go on to these other places, so you can go to serve up some of your warrants. And I was like, really? He let me go. And I was an answered prayer right there. Prayed about it. I didn't think it was gonna come true, but it did. And I felt the Lord's presence on me finally for the first time in years.
Amen.
And he was really looking out for me. And I told him, I was like, okay, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I'm getting to Jackson County Jail because I had warrants from 2016 that they keep building up. I mean, if you don't go to court, do your probation stuff, they're just gonna stay there. You know, they're gonna keep coming back for you. I got transferred out of Jackson County, and I sat in there for a couple months. You know, I started getting to feel everything, started working my way down to the TV cell, and finally got me the good cell because I've been in there long enough. And that's when this turd head Sam came there, which is now my best friend.
We made my way on in there.
He made his way in there. I couldn't stand Sam when I first met him. I really couldn't.
I'll show you how to do jail, bro.
But he made me a deal. He was like, "You let me move in? I'll make sure you eat." I was like, "Okay, come on."
Dinner.
That was little did I know that was God right there, because like he said, we had Bible study all the time in our cell. We started taking part, and man, we started getting into the Bible hard, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was
every
day, all day long.
I'd get up
I mean,
before breakfast.
yeah.
I'd work out while I was waiting on breakfast, and then right after breakfast, we was Bible study. There's probably 2 or 3 people in there with us at the same time in a little 2-man cell.
As far as anybody knew, I mean, I was in there indefinitely, because every time a rehab would try to get me out of there. What happened, Missy?
Listen, this dude I went to pick him up, and he had holds in Las Vegas. And of course, I called back, and they're like, well, no, Vegas is going to extradite him. And I'm like, what has this been done?
Vegas wants him.
They are going to extradite him from across the country. So I go to Googling his name, you know what I mean? But we ain't.
You get no murderers up in there.
Well, not intentionally, or not knowing anyways. Yeah.
Everybody's going home to Google his name tonight.
I already have, no
Tell you business.
Yeah, tell it.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
So I mean, who hasn't committed Grand Theft Auto? He'll be all right. We'll take him. So.
That's a normal thing around here.
Yeah.
Well-
He is. Yeah.
Well, my best friend had just left me. You know, I'd already had 3 rehabs try to get me, and then to no avail. They would tell me, "Oh, pack your stuff," and I get up there, and they're like, "Nah, you're going back to yourself."
Yeah.
Yeah, hold. Well, my best friend leaves me, and 3 weeks later, I'm kind of adjusting to the jail without him being there. And all of a sudden, I get a call. Usually, rehab calls are in the morning, it's middle of the afternoon and I'm asleep. And they're like, "Hey, pack your stuff up. You're leaving." And I thought it was a prank. I thought it really was. I thought it was. Well, I'm thinking it's that CD place or whatever that was coming to get me because that was the last one that I got papers for. Well, it was Great Expectations. It was Kenny. He was coming to get me, and little I know, all the prayers have been answered.
That's a pretty man right then, ain't it? Good looking man when he comes to pick you up from that jail.
Yeah. Got a cigarette. I've been in jail for a whole entire year. I went to jail on April 24th of 2023, and I got out April 26th of 2024. And yeah, between the two jails, I was in there for a year, and I don't know what they did to get them holds lifted, but they did something. And the Lord did. You're right, the Lord. I get to Great Expectations, and I fall in love with the place. I realized like this is awesome. This place is awesome. I mean, I kind of felt like I had a little bit of special privileges at first because I got to go work at Gail Steiner over there with who I now associate with. I call them my folks because David and Kayla Meeks, they're like parents to me now. They're like the parents I never had. And I used to work for them there. I was a cook until the place shut down. But every single pass I ever had at that center, I went to their house. They made sure I was coming to their house. And even if they weren't in town, they would leave me the key and like, "You're there for the weekend." And they took care of me. And I still talk. I seen them last week. I mean, I see them all the time now. And I'm gone, but they're like family to me, you know. I mean, I call them. People talk. I'm like, "Yeah, that's my folks." So, or they're like, "Your folks." I'm like, "Well, they're not really my folks, but I call them that." And anyways, getting towards the end here. I graduate. Great Expectations.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready to get on out of there. You know, I'm ready to hit the ground running. What I Missy? I was ready to go, but
He was not one that done that. We've
No.
had him.
I had a few wise people tell me, they're like, "Hey, don't go yet. You're not ready. You know, don't do it. You don't even have a vehicle yet." So I saved up, got me a car.
First, you had to pay off the nation to get your driver's license.
Oh yeah. I had to pay off the nation to get my driver's license. That's right. Give me a vehicle. I'm licensed now. That's a long story. Y'all know.
He can't drive. He still can't drive. Completely sober.
But I got a job at Mesker Doors, you know, with the center and everything, and I wasn't there a month and a half, and I got a promotion. I wasn't there with that promotion for 2 months. I got another promotion.
Yeah.
I'm working on another promotion right now. I'm kind of line lead right now, but I'm about to become a supervisor soon, and I'm kind of nervous about it because it's a lot of pressure. But I know it's like they see how hard I want this, how bad I want this, how hard I'm working for it. Just like I feel like y'all did a Great Expectations. I worked hard. You know, I wanted it. I wanted to be sober. I wanted this recovery. I was done with it finally. For once in my life, I'm getting sober for myself.
Yes.
I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm not doing it for a girl. I'm not doing it because I'm supposed to. For my grandma. I'm not doing it for anybody else but for me.
Praise God.
And I just want to thank Great Expectations and everybody else who's had part of it, because I don't know if it would have happened without. I mean, I got a head start. I had a year sober before I got there, but I'm sure I would have fell right. I would have, you know, I'm a certified crash out. You know, like well, used to be. Was redeemed.
Son of God.
Without the, because I ain't gonna lie, when I first got there, I had thought about that train that passed by all the time. I popped them before. I popped them many times.
Jump right on it. Jump right on it.
And,
End up back in Vegas.
I mean, but I stuck with it, and I found the Lord harder than ever. And now I've got him so hard now, it's not even funny. Like I mean, I'll sit there on my way home from work and I'll just start praying and I'll just start crying for no reason. I mean, tears of joy just being, I'm just so thankful. And I just thank everybody who's had a part of my recovery. I really do. I love everybody here. And you know, I I asked for Derek and Kim's blessing and extended the meeting here to Scottsboro, closer home. And
Amen.
now, well, I mean, I it's not me. I mean, it's us. But you know, we started up a meeting over there, and Pastor Calvin, he gave me a key. He gave me and Derek a key.
That, by the way.
We got a key to a church.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a key to a church.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I went from I would never go to an NA meeting because that's for quitters to now I fully support recovery. You know?
Amen. That's right.
And God's been working some big wonders in my life, and I just can't see what else He's got in store for me. Sorry, I know y'all gotta be up early. A lot of y'all. I'm sorry it took so long. But,
You gotta be up early.
no, I took vacation tomorrow. I know.
Oh, you suck. That's sorry. That's sorry.
Well,
I was trying to give you a little clap for that. Go ahead and take your time off.
okay.
I think it's ironic that
Deuces love you.
your subject or whatever was healed
Yeah.
at Saturday night, because I think you are a pretty good picture of what that was like. So, I'm very proud of you.
Patrick, I just want to say that I'm so sorry that you had such a rough childhood, but you said you're 29.
Yes, ma'am.
That's in the past. You've got your life.
That's right.
Enjoy it. Praise the Lord.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Never forget, your childhood made you who you are
And
today.
there's no telling how many people that you'll reach
That's right.
because of what you went through.
That's right.
You can relate to that other person because of what they went through. You know what the feeling of abandonment is,
That's
just
right.
like others in this room does, specifically.
I want to say that little girl you fell in love with, if I have anything to do with it, you'll always be able to see her happy.
Bless.
I love you, buddy.
We love you,
Praise the
DJ.
Lord.
And you know what it's like to break the law in every state.
Hey,
Breaking the law.
yeah.
That's my friend.
I like what you said about wherever
I don't
you
know
go,
about
you
these
can find him, and he will find you. I know that if I don't have my mind made up, it don't matter where I go.
It's the law of attraction.
And it's the law of attraction. It really is the
There you
truth.
are.
Yeah.
If you don't have your mind made up that you want recovery, like, it don't matter where you go. I can walk into any gas station anytime.
That's right.
Right smack out there.
Don't matter where you at.
You know, anything. I got my mind made up. It's like please for me. I just don't ever.
What happened to the puppies?
Well, the girl that was supposed to be watching them, 2 weeks after I got a chance to go down to bring her some dog food, she was gone. Her whole house was empty with the puppies and the dog.
Kidnapped.
Yeah.
Kidnapped the 8 months in the dog.
I don't know what happened to the puppies.
Yeah.
Trucks, car parking lot.
I got a picture.
They got stolen.